Good afternoon. It is Friday the 13th, in fact Friday the 13th of August. I am back in the Read Nook in what is a warm but suddenly very blustery afternoon. I have a stack of parcels to unbox. So the last one I'm going to do is this, which is from Storeywood in San Antonio, Texas. So let's slide the knife in there, get this open. Okay, just trying not to hit the book itself. There we go. Pulling that across. And what we've got is a psalm for part 1. From Storeywood. It's written by Scott Andrew, and it's for Mörk Borg, or Mörk Borg, as Bud from Bud's RPG review will belabor me saying it. And this basically, Mörk Borg is an Elsa style role-playing game set in a pre-apocalypse, in which you play the survivors of a dying world, and you are a bunch of rotten of degenerates and rotters, and nothing is going right for you. And this is an adventure which essentially for that game. And this adventure literally and figuratively interprets Psalm 4 part 1, so it can be introduced when that revelation unfolds. In part, essentially, that as you play through Mörk Borg, the world, there are more revelations which bring you closer and closer to the end of the world and the end of the campaign. And this is an adventure which fits in that particular slot, or essentially at that point when that psalm is revealed. The adventure can determine if the prophecy it comes true or not. If it dies or removes the cloak on the 5th night, the misery can come true. If not, the misery was somehow stopped. Or was this not the true misery? Essentially, have the choices here. The players can choose how to approach the adventure. They can side with the church to stop heresy of the Queen and her family. They may hate the church and bolster this religious uprising, or they may just want to kill everyone and sort it out later. Player characters being player characters are generally the latter option. Essentially, however they choose, the players shouldn't know that this adventure has anything to do with Psalm 4 part 1 at the start, which is a bit of a difficulty if that's the title. Nevertheless, we have a story essentially at 9 and 10 winters past, there was a girl who knew not love of her father, reserved as was his worship of he and she, the two-headed two-headed basilisks. Jealousy took root in her heart, so she was made pregnant by it. And it came to pass the seed was cursed. On her birthing table, as a demon spawned, shaking for others' faith. It was birthed two-headed, one wailing in anguish, the other whispering silent heresies. Every witness to the blasphemous birth was put to the sword. Better foul whispers than heretical accusations and burning stakes. The father forsook it and its mother, casting them into the darkest of chambers. Here she fell into the care of a seamstress, a vile lich servant of they. Under a watch while, the girl grew into the wretched queen of the darkest chambers, while it continued to wail and whisper. Here the seamstress sowed their downfall. She filled the dreams of the queen and father with visions of power, of leading in order the two-headed man and its new prophecies. With lust for this power, the father carefully sowed seeds of heresy in his flock, preparing them for the day the world would hear its blasphemous utterances. On the day it reached its 18th birthday, the seamstress enacted a well-laid plan. She stitched a dream for the father, telling him it was time to usher forth the queen of the darkest chamber and her twice-damned son. Sacrifices were to be made, and then fear put into the hearts of men, for new god had arrived. So that's the background. It's kind of difficult to read essentially because of the disjointed layout of the text, but you get the feel of it, and it imparts, basically it's a jittering kind of in-your-face quality, back and forth almost, before they go into the depths of this adventure. So the style itself is very much within the Mörk Borg or Mörk Borg setup. Heavy artwork, white on black, yellow highlights, or basically vibrantly yellow highlights, and then we have a map of the church, and then in details what's going on inside in particular rooms, and the maps are more of basically of overview. So essentially you've got literally a nice little basic breakdown of what's in the room, what you can see, and the individual items. That's a nice touch. And the context of the text is really quite small and limited. Basically, it's almost bullet point, but there's lots of information contained within those sections. And then in the areas beneath the church, plain and simple, easy to view, and then an explanation of the particular details, and then what they do in the insert. So you've got the overview of the other page, and then the map here is used to highlight the location of where the description fits. So nice tagging back and forth between the map and the descriptions. Again, more interesting art. Not quite sure what's going on there. And in the depths below the church, almost, sort of like it's mapped onto sort of like a twin skull location. Sorry. Okay, and it does the same thing with the map and the items and the locations again. Backed up with sort of illustrations, so basically the GM has that reference, then can easily show the images to her players if she wants. And the last of the chambers there, and their occupants. And we have the darkest chamber itself, the home to the heresy, basically the effects of going down there. So we have tables for fear, and so that could be phobias and so on, shut down, run, phobias, uncontrollable babbling, shakes, something to inflict upon your player characters. So that's a mini adventure for Mörk Borg, done as part of Zine Quest 3. Essentially, really, that has expanded to cover a lot more than just straight fanzines. Fanzine essentially is a mini magazine, generally containing a mishmash of content, so new spells or new guns and a scenario and a new class, or depending upon what the game is, describing a new location, an NPC, and the like. Whereas more recently, what you've got is a move to use essentially this format, the fanzine format, as a vehicle for something whole. So that might be an adventure, that might even be a whole RPG. In this case, it's an adventure for Mörk Borg. So that's for part 1. I will be reviewing this in due course, because I really enjoy reviewing titles for this role-playing game, which is really grim and grimy and grungy, with horrible characters, doom-ridden on their last surviving days in this world. Well, if you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook, then please do hit that like button down below. If you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those, and I do read them. Thank you very much. And of course, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me out here with parcels and a book, basically parcels on box, a book to discuss for 10 minutes or so, basically what's my first reaction, how this relates to another game and so on, what I think of it, on just on my first pass through, accompanied of course by a nice hot cup of tea then please do hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching another unboxing of the Nook. I'll be back again with another one in the very near future. So bye for now.